Hello everyone, welcome back to 3D Drawing for your Model Railway. Again, we're continuing our series now on the Cowan Sheldon 30-ton breakdown crane. We're going to start to look to add some of the detail onto the other side of the crane today. So I'm going to start off by just looking at maybe doing the window and maybe doing this vent on the back here. Maybe we'll see how far across we can get in the time frame. But yeah, looking to start this detail here and improving both sides of the crane. Okay, so the first thing of note really when we're drawing this side of the crane is we don't actually have a scale plan for this side. So we will be working from a lot of the photographs that we've got, but also using the plans, the two plans that we've got for the underframe to work out roughly in relation to where certain parts are. So you know, on here we can see. If we look at the photograph here, we've got a toolbox. That's going to be roughly in line. There's like a stanchion, and the front goes where the brake wheel is here. So we know it's going to be roughly, you know, in this sort of area here. Okay, so that's how we're going to be using this plan to be able to do that. What we do have though, which might be of some use, is the top-down plan. So we'll be able to see things like here. We can see where the large pulley gear wheel is, the gearbox, and I think this is the drivetrain coming up here. This possibly is the toolbox, so we could use that to give us some sort of guide as to where that would be. We've also got on the side here, we've got to draw the grille and there's a window, and there's also, looking at the pictures, there's like a little V shape here. Now what I believe under here is there's a window, so when this lifts, the jib lifts up, this lifts with the jib, and then the operator can actually see out to the top of the crane here. Which I'm not sure we're going to model the window in here, because obviously when we've got this as a model, you've only got this tiny little gap here that you're going to be able to see through to know there's a window there. I may put it in, but we'll see how we go as we get along. Okay, so jumping back into Fusion, first thing we'll do is we'll make sure we've got the crane body radio part checked. So we're using the sketch history within that folder. We'll create a sketch on this face here, and we'll draw a rectangle for that grille. Sort of that size. So if we look at the photograph, slightly down, probably 3 or 4 inches down from the roof, similar sort of position up from where the back door height would be, about 6 inches in, and it goes about halfway in that first step of the weight. So we'll define this position. It's the 0.6, and we'll do 1 millimeter from the side there to give us that 6 inches. Similar sort of height to the door here, so maybe needs to come down a tiny bit, 4.1. And the distance across halfway along looks okay, so you know, let's try to just round that to 4.6 just to make it even. Okay, and then we'll extrude this out slightly to give us that detailed edge there. Good. Okay, so we'll do this grille similar sort of fashion to the way we did this one on the end here. So we'll create. I don't know what's happened there. Let's undo something. That's it. We'll do an offset plane on that face there. Okay, let's have a look at the picture. How far in do they start? A couple of inches. So let's go 0.4. Okay, and then we'll create a sketch on that face. We'll start by drawing a line inwards, and we'll come in 0.3 millimeters, same as we did on the grille over there. Constrain. Wait. Let's define the height down first before we constrain that. Do 0.3, and then we'll constrain that to the face so that it doesn't jump upwards. That's it. Okay, then we'll come down 0.3 and then draw the triangle, closing that. Okay, so now we should be able to select that profile like that. And if we rotate that round, we can then extrude that across. just check our measurements here. So we've got 4.6, that was 0.4 in, so that should be 3.8 extrusion. So that's 3.9, so just change that to 3.8. And now we know we've got the same distance both sides. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just copy that down in a pattern format, same as we did previous ones. So let's just rotate it so we can see what we're looking at. And we'll turn this canvas off so it's out of the way. Pattern, rectangular pattern, that take features, that feature there. Direction is going to be coming downwards. And drag this down to the bottom. And then we can start adding in a number of features so it looks about what we're after. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So just add a couple more in there just to make them a little bit closer. We might not get too, or it might be too close. We'll have a look. Actually, looks okay. Yeah, so there's our grill for the rear there. Nice and easy to do that one. Okay, the next thing we can notice is the roof actually extends here further than we've got on our drawing. Now we did notice that on the plan when we had it, if we turn this plan back on, that it does look like it comes forward here as well. So what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll fix that now. Let's turn that plan back up. That's the body. Turn the canvas back off. So what we'll do is we'll just go and draw a profile on this face here, and then we can extrude that out slightly. So if we create a sketch here, and what we're going to do is say that we want 0.8 millimeters, and we can ask actually what we could do is offset. Cancel that. Try again. Offset. Turn the chain selection off that radius there in 0.8 millimeters. Okay, so if we delete this line here, what we can do is constrain that line to that one there. That then gives us the profile, and if we look at the picture, it does look like it doesn't extend to the body, so that gives us the profile there that we can extend outwards. If we rotate to the top, turn that canvas back on, you can see it extends to about there. Canvas back off so we can see what we've got. There you go. And we'll make sure that's actually joined. It has, yet. Okay, so we've got that same profile, just extended slightly. What we can then do is, we know that looking at this, the window sits underneath that panel there. So we can draw that window in. It comes down from pretty much where the roof line is, looking at that, down to slightly above this bottom vent here by the looks of it. So if we create a sketch on that face, what we will also do actually is we'll check with that sketch there roughly whereabouts the window would finish. So yeah, you can see it's roughly where that fire extinguisher is. Maybe starts slightly behind this post, finishes slightly in front. There's the mounting point. So yeah, we're in the right area here. So we can edit that sketch, draw a rectangle. That's a line, sorry. Draw a rectangle. We can dimension it. Oh, actually, before we dimension it, let's delete that. Before we dimension it, does it have a round window, round corners? Yes, it does. So we can draw those in, holding shift while we do that to make sure we get them all. And we'll just round those in 1mm. How's that look? Probably a little bit too much. Let's go 0.7. See how it's changing the width here. So what we can do there is define that width. That's 2.5. Position from there to there. We need it to move over slightly because that's pulled it back in. So we'll go 0.9mm, see what that does. Yeah. And then the height of this 4.1. And then the height from the base 3.5. So how does that window aperture look and compare to the picture? So possibly it needs to be a little bit wider. So if we go to 3mm wide, yeah, I think maybe that looks okay. If we rotate to the top, where's the toolbox? There's the toolbox, or what we think is the toolbox here. Yeah, I think we're in the ballpark there. It's very difficult when you don't have that scale plan there to get that right, but yeah, I think we're in the ballpark. So let's turn that canvas off and we'll extrude that through to the face internally. Yeah, let's come all the way through. Turn this canvas off so he's not looking at that. And what we want now is to go and put it's got like a rubber seal on the outside of beading. So we can just go into that sketch, do an offset, turn that chain tangent back on, do an offset outwards slightly. And it's only a tiny little beading, so we'll just go minus 0.2mm, I think. And then we can extrude this forwards by 0.15 just to give us an edge there. So, and then what we can do, because these dots here, this is because the sketch is still turned on. So if we come into the sketch, scroll down to the bottom, we can just turn it off and they'll disappear for us. And then we can minimise that. Okay, so we've got our window, we've got that grill added in, and we've added this extra extension onto the roof there. Okay, so before we can go any further, we've got this running plate here that comes along here, so we're going to have to add that on. Might be worth checking, I haven't checked, but I'm going to check in a second whether there's one on the other side we need to add as well. So we'll start by adding that running plate on there next. Okay, so it's nice and simple. What we're going to do is create a sketch on this bottom surface here, and that puts it level with the bottom here. We can then just draw a 2-point rectangle, selecting that corner point, dragging it out to that one so we know the width is 2.5. Place it. We define what we've got so far, so we know that's 2.5. Okay, and we'll define that length. I don't know what it should be at the moment until I rotate it around and see where it comes to. So we'll extrude it upwards. Don't want to select that. Try again, select that profile. Just come up, and we're just going to have it 0.5mm thick. Okay, so let's have a look, see where its position should be on the plan. Let's try that to start with. So there it goes. It needs to be a little bit longer. Okay, so we can come into this sketch here while we're still looking at that plan. Edit the sketch. Let's try 21. Does that move it close enough? Yes, it does. So now we've got that to the correct position on there. Let's turn that sketch off. And we'll turn that one off. We'll save that at that point there. So jumping into the plan for the other side, it does actually look like there is a running plate there as well. It's the same sort of size. So if we come back into Fusion, if we rotate this back across, what we'll do is create a sketch again on the bottom surface, and we'll just fill that in. So we'll use that 2-point rectangle, start in that corner, come into the plate, and we want it to have the same length as that one there. So it's 2.5 by 21. Just make sure that's defining. Yes, that's blue, yep. And we can extrude this. Let's rotate it. Hopefully we won't lose any of the details that we've drawn on the bottom here. So minus 0.5. Yeah, we will. Okay, so this is going to be a little bit of a compromise that we might just have to bite here. Because that plate what we could do is we could actually extrude that plate down on the other side and just bring the body down slightly. Let's have a look at the sketches if we can. That one. Yeah, we could maybe get away with bringing that downwards on both of these. Let's edit these features and we'll go plus 0.5 millimeter on both of these. Okay, so how do we get round? Do we need to? Do we need to bring the rest down? I think we need to do something in the middle here to join them, otherwise they're not going to print. So let's create a sketch on this inside surface. Just do a rectangle, go from that corner to that corner and extrude this to the same height as those ones to join. And I'll check to make sure, yes, only one body. And I'm going to extrude this surface now. All the way across. Okay, so there you can see one of the limitations there of wanting to print something. You've got to take, especially in smaller scales, you can't really go to the thickness you'd want on this. You'd probably only want to come up maybe with 0.1, 0.2, but that wouldn't give you thick enough and it wouldn't print. So we are having to take a little bit of a compromise there, but I don't think you're really going to notice that too much once we get the model finished. Okay, I'm going to call that it for this lesson, and we'll come back to this on the next lesson. We'll start on the next lesson drawing this toolbox and whatever the cylinder was on the end here, and maybe start on the large pulley wheel over here as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. Hope you've enjoyed watching today's lesson. If you have, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and get notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching.